Just last week, Senator Chris Murphy announced the Living Wage for All Act, which would gradually raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $25 an hour. Now, whether you agree or disagree with this policy, we know that this will have long-term implications on the US economy. So, is raising the minimum wage a good policy? Is it helpful or harmful for workers? Is it the solution to poverty and inequality? I'm Yuna, and today I'm going to be addressing these questions. First, we need to understand what minimum wage is. The minimum wage is the lowest hourly wage an employer can legally pay an employee. Nationally, this number is $7.25, but it varies by state. Washington has the highest minimum wage at $17.13 per hour, while many states, including Texas, go by the federal minimum wage of $7.25. For decades, many economists have opposed minimum wage, using the competitive labor market model. This diagram sees employers as the buyers of labor and the employees as the sellers. As wages go up, more people are willing to work, and so the labor supply increases. However, as wages increase, hiring becomes more expensive for firms, so they demand less labor. Where these two curves intersect is the labor market equilibrium, where the number of workers willing to work equals the number of workers businesses want to hire. So the answer seems simple. If the government sets a minimum wage above that equilibrium, more people want to work, but firms want to hire fewer workers, causing unemployment. But labor markets often don't behave this way. A key reason for that is the existence of monopsonies, where there's one employer and many workers. That means the company could underpay workers since there's limited competition. In this case, a minimum wage that brings the wages to market equilibrium could increase employment by making more people want to work. On top of this, proponents argue that an increase in minimum wage leads to less turnover, and therefore less time, effort, and money spent in the hiring process for both parties. So now, instead of just looking at models, let's look at how this is applied in real life with two research studies, Card and Kruger and Newmark and Washer. In 1992, Card and Kruger conducted their famous minimum wage study. That April, New Jersey had increased its minimum wage from $4.25 to $5.05 an hour, while its neighbor Pennsylvania had kept it at $4.25. Contrary to what economists expected, Card and Kruger found a relative increase in employment in New Jersey, where the raise took place. They also found that the raise didn't lead to reduced benefits for workers or the closure of businesses. This challenged the common belief from the competitive labor market model that a rise in the minimum wage automatically leads to more unemployment. In 2007, Newmark and Washer went on to criticize the study, arguing that it focused too much on the broad effect of minimum wage, rather than the effect on the least skilled workers who minimum wage affects the most. They find that when you focus on the least skilled workers, like teenagers, employment opportunities decreased. However, critics argue that Newmark and Washer focus too much on the competitive labor market model and discount the possibility of monopsonies. Also, other critics argue that it does not reflect local trends where small increments in the minimum wage can be beneficial. So, who's right? To this day, the minimum wage debate remains unresolved, with some claiming that it increases unemployment, with others finding the opposite. Ultimately, it's a much more nuanced answer than yes or no, and it depends on where it's implemented, how it's implemented, and by how much it's raised. But here's my take on it. Minimum wage isn't a perfect policy, but neither is any. I think one of our goals as a society should be to protect people from harm, and whether minimum wage does that is exactly why people continue to debate it today.